tonight on Speedy Bill, we throw away the keys. Hello everybody and welcome back. Today I'm going to be installing push start ignition into the Mx5, so I'll be doing away with the key for everything bar the steering lock. There's quite a bit involved in doing this. You're going to need soldering iron, wiring stuff, wires, strippers, all sorts of things. You're also going to need a bunch of relays. You'll need 3 in total. I got these from eBay. You'll need 1 5-pin relay and 2 4-pin relays, fairly standard stuff. Ideally, if you can get the wiring pigtails with them as well, it makes wiring them up a lot easier. You're also going to need some switches to run the whole shebang. You may have noticed in previous videos that I have this 3-switch panel at the side of my center console. This is no longer enough for what I need, so that's gone. I will be replacing it with this magnificent creation that I made a couple of days ago, just out of some sheet steel, cut it out, folded it and pop riveted it together. It's got the original 3 switches still in situ, and I've added this extra section with a switch to turn on the accessory circuit. Also one to turn on the run circuits, things like your wipers, lights, fuel pump, etc. And then you're also going to need a push start switch to actually start the car. I've got this one, which I got from Halfords. You can get them on eBay, you can get various different ones. Just needs to be momentary, not locking. I've made another bracket box thingy to mount that in. I'll be mounting that somewhere hidden in the car. No, I will not be telling you where. Other little sundry things if you want. I made up this little relay mounting plate so that I can mount things in the car and keep them nice and neat. I recently spent a day pulling out old wiring that was no longer needed in the car to keep things neat. I quite like to keep it that way. Also makes troubleshooting a lot easier if something goes wrong, if your wires are all nice and neat. Now before we kick into any of that, the first thing I'm going to do is strip down this and that, because I need to paint them black. Yeah! Alright then, so we're all done with the beautification of the parts that I've made. You can see I've assembled the relay plate here. I've got the relays bolted on nicely, ready to be wired up. The aim of this is I want the wiring to look as factory as possible, so all this, when it's done, will be heat shrunk and wrapped in electrical tape so that it looks neat and easy to remove if I want to put things back to how they were. Got the starter switch mounted up in its little bracket there, looking very neat, ready to be installed somewhere hidden within the car. Still not going to tell you where. And finally we get to the completed switch panel. As you can see, I've reinstalled all the missile switches, because who doesn't love missile switches? And I've labelled each of the functions using my little Dymo label maker here. If you like this kind of thing, this is a very handy piece of kit to have. If you're interested, the functions of the switches are: top one is for launch control and flat shifting, which is a fantastic feature to have. Don't use it very much, but when I do use it, it's great fun. Next one is for the little shift light, which I have installed on top of the steering cowl. It's not actually wired in yet. I still need to wire it to the rev gauge so it actually gets a signal, and then I'll be able to set that up. Finally, this bottom one, you'll remember back to my chassis rail install video, the first thing I did was remedy the pop-ups coming up with the ignition on, so that's what that one's for. And then obviously this one is for the accessory circuit, and finally ignition circuit, and then press that one and the car should start. That's all that aspect of it done. There's no getting away from it now. It's time to install it in the car and get to some wiring. Okay, so the first thing with any custom build, especially one like this, will be to work out where you want everything to be. Now, my original switch panel was mounted here at the side of the tombstone with 2 self-tapping screws. I'm going to stick with that, and I'm going to be mounting this new switch panel here, but slightly further back, slightly lower down, so it's a bit more recessed, a bit more out of the way. Because of this, I've had to remove the cigarette lighter and the interior light, because this panel's a lot bigger. They're hidden behind it, they're of no use whatsoever, so I'll probably relocate those at some point. The plus side of this means I can run the wiring for all the switches through the hole where the interior light used to be. It'll keep things a lot neater, rather than the way I had it before, which was through this side panel here with a little grommet. You can see all the wiring hanging out. It didn't look very neat, so that will help with that. I'll then need to find somewhere to mount my relay panel, probably up under the dash here. Whether I'll be able to attach it to anything is another matter, but at least it'll keep them all together. The main part of the loom we're going to be looking at is simply this plug here, which goes to the back of the ignition barrel. It's just 6 wires. They control the various functions of the car. We'll be splicing into these. I did want to try and find a plug to go on that so that I could make my own loom. I don't really want to cut these off, just in case something goes wrong and I need to put it back to factory in a hurry, but we'll see about that. And so we're probably just going to have to cut that off. As ever, before you start in on any electrical work, especially ones that are on your ignition system, you want to disconnect the battery, which I've already done. I've removed everything I need to get out of the way. I'm going to tidy up this wiring a little bit so that I know what's what and what I'm working with, so I can get a bit more room, get things out of the way. Let's get on with it. Alright then, so I've spent a little bit of time under the dash here, cable tying things up out of the way, getting rid of old plugs, moving things around, giving myself some room to work with. I've decided that before I mount this thing up for good, or before I mount any of it for good, I'm actually just going to go ahead and wire everything up so that I can check it works. And before I solder any of the connections together, I'm going to twist and tape just for now to make sure that everything goes and works as it should. I will then go back and solder and heat shrink all of the connections so that they are secure. The last thing I want is any problems with my ignition system. So there's no getting away from it for now. The next thing I'm going to have to do is cut this plug off. Okay, I'm going to keep that in a safe place so that if I ever need to return this to factory, I've got it ready to go. Oh, the next thing I'm going to need are some strippers. Left with here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the main ignition wires, which will be running to the switches and the relays. This isn't really a how-to video, this is more of a come with me on this journey as I give it a go. I'm going to see how this works out. It's just something I've wanted to do for a long time. It seems like the perfect car to do it with. So I'm going to crack on and get these connected to what they need to be. I'm not going to film this because it's probably going to be extremely boring. A lot of me fanning around doing things that won't make sense and working things out, getting things wrong, probably swearing. So I'm going to knock the cameras off, put some music on, join me when it's wired in. Okay, so it's been about half an hour. I've wired everything in. It's all, some of these are crimped, some of them twist and tape, just so that I can get the basic layout and find out if it works. So, key, as you can see, it's not in the barrel. With this accessory switch, what we should see is radio come on. There it is. Took a bit of time, but it's come on. Next up, we'll go for ignition. So we should hear the fuel pump. There it is. We've got all our lights on the dashboard. Finally, if we press this, make sure it's not in gear. We have ignition. Fantastic. So if we flick this one off now, there we go. Super happy with that. That works as it should. So if you do this now, the stereo should go off. Excellent. Perfect. So there we have it, proof of concept. All the wiring works, the buttons work, the switches work as they should. I'm not going to bother wiring up those accessory switches, the three on the other side, just yet. I'll come back and do that another day. For now, I'm going to tidy all this up. I'm going to pull it all apart again, mount all the switch panels properly, the relay panel, get everything tucked up nice and neat, soldered, heat shrunk and neat and secure, and then we can call this done. So, as is often the way with these things, day has turned to night. It took a lot longer to get this all sussed out than I thought it would. Made one mistake while I was wiring it. I got the accessory and the push start switch mixed up, so they did the wrong thing. I've now rectified that. I've semi-permanently mounted this using two brackets that I quickly knocked up there just to get it in place so I could wire to it. I'll find a way to mount it properly at some point. So, what we've got now, no key in the ignition. Flick this switch up and your accessories will come on, so that's your stereo, there it is, and then go to this one, everything lights up, fuel pump boots up, so everything's live, check it's in neutral, and you're ready to press your start button. There we go, and then when you want to turn the car off, push it down, turn your stereo off, easy as that. I will include a write-up or wiring diagram or parts you need to do this if you're interested in having a go yourself. I'll also link through to the YouTube channel that I got all the information to do this from. I hope you liked this video. Like, comment, subscribe if you'd like to see more. Hit that little bell so that you get notifications when we upload things. You can keep up with us on Facebook as well, Speedy Bill and Friends. I'm on Instagram, SpeedyBill92, if you're interested in what I get up to. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon. On tonight's programme. Today we're going to be installing. Today I'm going to be installing push start ignition in the car, so that involves something with this magnificent creation that I made a couple of days ago and pop ripped it. That was going so well. Oh, fuck. Something. Thing. Many things. Electrical things. So as off as is okay, so as often as is okay, so as is often the way with these things, night has reached us. Right then, so as is right then, so as is often the way with these things, night has, oh my